Welcome to the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi Area Candidate Forum. My name is Eli McKay. I'm the Vice President of Voter Services. And on behalf of Catherine Oler, President of the Corpus Christi League, it is my pleasure to welcome you here. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. We support nor oppose candidates of any political party. Since its founding more than 75 years ago, the League's mission has been to promote voter awareness of candidates and issues and to encourage individuals not only to register to vote, but also to vote in all elections. This forum was recorded on Wednesday, October the 12th, and later posted to the Corpus Christi League of Women Voters Facebook and YouTube pages. Recordings of this event may not be used without the express written approval of the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi area. The League will only allow audio or video of this event to be broadcast in its entirety, except by the media reporting on the event. Joining me this evening is President Oler, who will serve as our Zoom flight director and help us keep time for this forum. This forum features two candidates for mayor of Corpus Christi, Paulette Guajardo and John Wright. Unfortunately, Mr. Wright was unable to join us this evening, so we will move forward with the forum with Mayor Paulette Guajardo. And this is how this forum will proceed. Each participating candidate will be allowed 2 minutes for an opening statement and 1 minute for a closing statement. Between those statements, candidates will be asked 3 issue-focused questions by the moderator, and candidates will have 1 minute to respond to each question. Rebuttals are not allowed. In unusual cases in which a candidate refers to the position or record of an opponent, a brief 30-second rebuttal may be allowed by the moderator. If mentioning opponents continues, the candidate will be muted by our Zoom flight director. A countdown timer will also appear to remind you of your time limits, and when time is up, we ask you please finish your sentence and yield the floor, or you will also be muted. With that, let's go ahead and begin this candidate forum. Mayor Paulette Guajardo, your 2-minute opening statement, please.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you. It's an honor to be here, but it's really been a true honor to serve as your 58th mayor of Corpus Christi. And today I am asking for your vote for re-election to continue our progress. As you all know, over the last 2 years, I have worked very hard on my promise to you to be a full-time mayor, working to fix our streets, hire police officers so that our community is safe, reopen our iconic Cool Park Pier, and just move forward our economy. I also would like to say that with rising property valuations, I led the effort in lowering the city property tax rate by 2.6 cents. We have a balanced, strong budget with healthy reserves. And of course, that came along with, in a long process by which the city manager and city council led together. Streets, which is a priority, we have invested over $325 million to continue to fix our streets, and we're going to have a very, very strong focus on residential streets. We have fixed many arterial streets, but residential streets are a priority. And as you all know, I am the mayor that believes in maintenance. Citywide, we have, I would say from, let's say, Bayfront to downtown to city parks, the city of Corpus Christi will maintain our assets. And we are making real progress in doing so, restoring, revitalizing, and rejuvenating our community gathering areas. Those areas are very important to me because they're green spaces. And I believe that the environment is also extremely important to leadership of the city of Corpus Christi and in all positions. I'm very proud to say that I led the effort in creating the first ever tree ordinance. So now when someone builds a home or developers build subdivisions, they must plant trees. And I think that's just an important initiative, which is why I also have the mayor's first ever environmental task force, which you'll see lots of things. And there are many things that have come forth from that. But again, I think leadership has to do with, the progression of not only the economy, great jobs, quality of life, our park system, but also again how we maintain and how we also treat our environment. So with that, I ask for your your support and your reelection of me as the current mayor, so that I can continue working with a great staff and with a great organization to move us forward.
Thank you so much for that. And now we'll move to the questions. Just remember, you will have 1 minute for each question. The question number one is, during your campaign, what is the number one concern expressed to you by the citizens of Corpus Christi? And what is your response to that concern?
Yes, thank you. And that's a great question, because there always is a question. The number one is fixing our streets, hands down. And I will say this, fixing the streets of Corpus Christi are a priority. They continue to be priority. In the last 3 years, we've invested $325 million into our streets. That has never happened before. We have made a decision, and I can say as of 6 years ago, I've been on council for 6 years, that streets are number one. That said, major arterial streets have been repaired, and we're very proud of those. You can go down Rodfield Road and see a new street, Everhart Road, let's see, oh goodness, I'm drawing a blank. Rodfield Road, Everhart Road, Ayers Road, Ayers Street, and many others that have been repaired. But our residential streets, which garners about $14 million in that fund for residential repair, that's the one that we're going to be focusing on more, because that's what people want, all streets repaired, but especially the street right in front of their homes. So what I say to that is that we're going to continue to invest and make unprecedented investments in streets, because that is number one. We did do that with potholes. As you remember, in a rainy season, we have had many, many potholes, but we've repaired more potholes.
I hate to interrupt, Mayor, but it is 1 minute for the questions. So we will go ahead and move on to the next question, if that's okay.
Sure.
Question number two. A lack of affordable housing underlies or exacerbates many other social problems, including homelessness, substance abuse, and crime. What should the city do to address this issue?
Affordable housing. Correct.
A lack of affordable housing and all of the underlying issues that it exacerbates, like, homelessness, substance abuse, and crime.
Right. As a matter of fact, today I met with Salvation Army for this reason exactly, because they all intermix, right? The lack of affordable housing, and then homelessness, and how do we bridge those gaps? I regularly do have conversations with our building community, because we have to work on incentivizing, and we actually just did that, incentivizing not only affordable homes, but infill. Right. And that has to be something that our developers, our builders are able to do. And they want to do it. They're just not able to do it. So we are doing that. We created policy in order to do that, to incentivize someone building a home that's actually affordable in an infill lot. Secondly, the homeless. That is something, like I said, I just met today with Salvation Army to talk just about this, about homelessness altogether, but also about how do we transition them into affordable home, because it's extremely difficult to find just housing, much less affordable housing. And so it's something that we have to work in partnership with organizations that cater to this population. The city of Corpus Christi, our part can be to incentivize, to say, how can we streamline building this home and make it easier for a developer to do that, opposed to harder, and subdivisions that end up being, number one, unaffordable, because they're extremely expensive, and the fees that they pay into these to have to build homes are part of what we can help with.
Thank you. Thank you. And our final question for you, as mayor of Corpus Christi, you will be the public face of this city. What one leadership strength will you exhibit if elected, so that in 20 years, citizens will remember your leadership and positive accomplishments?
As a council member for the last 6 years, and as the current mayor for almost the last 2 years, I can say, number one, it's been an honor to serve the people. And number two, the people really are who make the decision or the call as to what is her strength? What do we like most about this mayor? Everyone has their own identity, if you will, right? We all create our own mold as mayor. But I can tell you this, if I had a choice, and this is what I do strive to do, I strive for inclusivity. I strive to make sure that my time is balanced, not only in the best parts of town, but also in the parts that need it most. Not only in the, the parts that are most developed, but those that are also most in need of developing. And that means a good balance of being the people's mayor throughout the entire city. That means looking at the issues across the city from one end to the next. And that's what I would want. That's what I would want. I would want people to say she was inclusive of every socioeconomic level in this city. She was inclusive of all schools, private, public, charter, everything in between. She was inclusive of me as a neighbor, as well as me as a complete stranger. Because when you're the people's mayor, this position belongs to the people of Corpus Christi. It does not belong to who has the loudest voice or who does it. It's everyone.
You, Mayor. Thank you,
Yes.
Mayor. We have hit the 1 minute mark
Yes.
on that question. And then I will leave you this closing statement. You have 1 minute for a final closing statement.
Okay. So as your current mayor, I am asking for your vote for re-election to continue our progress and to move our city forward. Today, we are in a transformational time. And that is because of the team that we have. That isn't one person. That is so many people. That is so wonderful that work in this organization. As the leader and as the face of this city, I ask for your re-election so that I can continue to work, continue to give my time, and continue to give my passion towards this beautiful city to make us, to help us grow and just to be everything that we can be. We have moved mountains in the last several years, and I want to continue to do that. I tell people all the time, being a mayor or being on council, it is merely a chapter in one's life. And I love and I feel blessed that I have this opportunity. I want to do all the good that I can in these next 2 years and prove to you, as I have proven the last 2, that I will continue to work for you and I will continue to make the city of Corpus Christi everything that it can be.
Thank you so much. Thank you for agreeing to attend the forum. And I also want to say a big thank you to President Catherine Oler, our Zoom flight director, and Debbie Noble, our director of our website and social media, for making this virtual forum possible. The League of Women Voters Corpus Christi area appreciates these candidates not only for their belief in the democratic process that we enjoy in our nation, but also for their commitment to public service and the sacrifices they have made to participate in the campaign process. So thank you again, Mayor Paulette Guajardo, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Have a nice evening. Hello, we'll go ahead and start bringing folks in. Just give us a minute or two and we'll get everybody in. All right, wonderful. Well, we will go ahead and get started. Welcome all to the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi Area's Candidate Forum. My name is Eli McKay. I'm the Vice President of Voter Services. And on behalf of Catherine Oler, President of the Corpus Christi League, it is my pleasure to welcome y'all here. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. We neither support nor oppose candidates of any political party. Since its founding more than 75 years ago, the League's mission has been to promote voter awareness and candidates and issues, as well as to encourage individuals not only to register to vote, but also to vote in all elections. This forum was recorded on Wednesday, October the 12th, and later posted to the Corpus Christi League of Women Voters Facebook and YouTube pages. Recordings of this event may not be used without the express written approval of the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi area. The league will only allow audio or video of this event to be broadcast in its entirety, except by media reporting on the event. Joining me this evening is President Oler, who will serve as our Zoom flight director and help us keep time for this forum. This forum features 8 candidates for City Council at Large of Corpus Christi. These candidates are Rachel Caballero, Renee Cervantes, John Garcia, Michael Hunter, Dr. Jim Klein, John Martinez, Mike Pusley, and Dr. Nancy Vera. Here is how this forum will proceed. Each candidate participating will be allowed 2 minutes for an opening statement and 1 minute for a closing statement. Between those 2 statements, candidates will be asked 3 issue-focused questions by the moderator, and candidates will have 1 minute to respond to each question. Rebuttals are not allowed in unusual cases in which a candidate refers to the position or record of an opponent. A brief 30-second rebuttal may be allowed at the moderator's discretion. If mentioning opponents continues, the candidate will be muted by our Zoom flight director. A countdown timer will also appear to remind you of your time limits. And when your time is up, we ask you please finish your sentence and yield the floor, or you will be muted. With that, let us get this candidate forum started. We are going to start with the opening statements. And again, those will be a 2-minute opening statement. And we will start with Dr. Nancy Vera.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Dr. Nancy Vera, and I'm the proud president of the award-winning Corpus Christi American Federation of Teachers and also the Coastal Bend Labor Council president. I also serve as the vice president of the South Texas Human Rights Center, and I serve on the Corpus Christi Police Department's Training Advisory Committee. And I've dedicated my life, my entire career, to helping others. I think it's obvious that we need some change in our community, some change that'll help those people who are underrepresented on our council. I think we need more women on our council, for one. Secondly, I think we need more representation for our environment. I think our environment is suffering right now. I think we also need some common sense in that, remember that we destroyed all of Hillcrest in order to build the bridge, which is now the debacle of, I think, the century here in Corpus Christi, Texas, which is a darn shame. I fight for the families and children. I think I'm running right now. I know I'm running so that I can better represent the children and the families in Corpus Christi, Texas. I have a track record of doing that. I think along with Jim Klein and others, I will be able to move forward and help the community so that the people are represented, not just special interests, not just the industry that is polluting our community and our bays. We need to do better. We need to do better by not giving all of these industries over $2.4 billion in tax abatements when we don't get any tax breaks at all. I mean, City Council right now says, oh, we didn't raise taxes, but they sure are raising property values, which amounts to us paying more taxes. So I hope everyone votes for me. I'm asking you for your vote. I'm Dr. Nancy Vera, and I'm running for City Council at Large. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we will go over to John Martinez.
Thank you, and good evening. First of all, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for putting this on. I know that every election cycle, this is a big help for the community to kind of know the issues for where the candidates stand. I'm John Martinez. I currently serve as an at-large city council member. It's my first term, so I'm just kind of learning it as I'm going. But I've learned a lot in the last 2 years. You know, and an important thing that I've learned is city council it's a group, right? It's a council. It takes more than one person to get anything done. So because of that, it's important that you're able to work well with other people. I think in my practice, my law practice, I also am certified in mediation. It brings me some of those skills to bring people together. You know, it's not very often that you see everybody agree on something, and you see that in the votes. but you got to have somebody that can be there to bring people together to ultimately come up with something that is best for the community. And I think that I do that well. You know, I'm a homeboy, Corpus Christi boy. I was born and raised here. I left for college, I left for law school, but I came right back home. And the reason I came home is because of family. But there needs to be more than that. There needs to be more of a reason to come to Corpus Christi. And that's why I ran for city council the first time. Ultimately, the big thing is the quality of life, right? Because everything revolves around that, whether it's good roads, whether it's good jobs, good health care, things to do. It all revolves around our quality of life. And ultimately, that's what we need, is we need a good quality of life for the residents of Corpus Christi, because not only does it bring companies here with more jobs, but it brings people back here, so that we have our families together, and so that we can offer the opportunities for the people that want to come here.
Thank you so much. And next will be Dr. Jim Klein.
Thank you. Thanks to the League of Women Voters for putting this on tonight. My name is Jim Klein. I'm one of the candidates for an at-large seat on the Corpus Christi City Council. I'm a professor of history at Del Mar College, but my route to academia was rather odd. I started out, grew up on a farm, and put myself through college, working a number of odd jobs. And so I have a strong appreciation for working class wage earning people. Really, I think that really helps to infuse and influence, direct my historical research as well. My training as a historian has trained me to look at issues from a variety of different angles and to pursue long-term projects that don't necessarily have immediate gratification. In addition to that, I really believe that we're on this earth to serve one another, to be of service to one another. And toward that end, I've gotten involved in a number of organizations, environmental groups like the Sierra Club and the Clean Economy Coalition. I'm in leadership positions in both of those, because I really think that those two groups are really focusing on the human and environmental health of our community. I've gotten involved in a number of, well, I'm a member of the League of Women Voters as well, and a number of other political organizations as well. I've also gotten involved in a number of faculty organizations as well, because I really believe that higher education can be of service to the greater community. It can be a greater good for our society as a whole. The issues I'm running on are really to try to make city government more responsive and accessible to the general public. And toward that end, I have a lot of questions, hard questions about the desalination issue. I really don't think it's designed to benefit the general public, but rather just a few at the expense of the general public. And so I would bring those kind of hard questions, that kind of criticism, that skepticism into the city council as well, not just with regard to that, but also with regard to our streets. I think our street contracts need to be re-examined so that these street projects don't take 3 and 4 and 5 years to complete. We need to get the streets fixed, but it needs to happen much faster than what's been happening. I also, as I said, want to make city government more accessible. I really believe that city council meetings should be after 5 p.m. when working people can attend. Thank you so much. I'm asking for your vote. My name is Jim Klein.
Thank you so much. And next will be Michael Hunter.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, League of Women Voters, for putting this on. My name is Michael Hunter. I am currently your most tenured council member and your youngest. It's kind of funny to say I'm the oldest and the youngest at the same time. But let's see, I'm running for the same issues I've been running from the beginning: water, infrastructure, and public safety. I am the council member who introduced the 5-5-5 plan, which was to bring in 5 police officers and 5 firefighters to add and find money in the budget to do it. And we did that back in the day. And that was probably 6 years ago. And that was when we didn't really have any money. You know, our budget has grown from $800 million to $1.4 billion. And that's not all due to tax increases, even though I can raise my hand and say I've never voted for a tax increase, and I may be the only member who hasn't. But when we didn't have any money, we had to find money to do things. And we didn't have money going to your streets like we do now. Every year in the last 7 years, we've broken the record of putting money towards residential streets and the street maintenance program. We've added more money to total streets in the city. Let's see, water. Diversifying our water is a big issue. We can't have all groundwater. If you have all groundwater, then drought's going to affect your entire water, all of your water sources. And if we do that, we have no protection in the future. You can't water your grass. and their businesses can't operate. So I'm running on the same issues, as to continue to diversify not only our public safety to make it stronger, diversify our water sources, and to continue to break record on streets. It's, I've heard this a lot. It's a new day in Corpus Christi. I will say that almost doubling your budget in 7 years is an accomplishment, but we can do this in the future by expanding our tax base and bringing in new opportunities rather than raising taxes. If you want that, please vote Michael Hunter. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And we will also go next to John Garcia.
Hello. Thank you, women's voters, for hosting this this forum. John Garcia. I have been active in the hospitality industry for 25 years. Born and raised in the west side of Corpus Christi, I've created opportunities for small businesses with the food truck festivals. I have deep roots with the community and have served as a volunteer for 2 decades. I'm ready to offer my leadership to the city with a humble heart and strong work ethic. I'm running for city council to grow opportunities for small businesses, fix our streets for residents, and economic and workforce development efforts, and enhanced resources for our police and firefighters. And I'm number 8 on the ballot. Thank you.
All right, well, we will move right into our first question of the evening. The first question of the evening is going to be, during your campaign, what is the #1 concern that has been expressed to you by the citizens of Corpus Christi?
Eli, can you
Yes,
hear
ma'am.
me?
Yes, ma'am.
Rachel Caballero is trying to get in, so if you
Oh,
would,
wonderful.
so let me see
Yeah.
if I can get her in, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
All right. So let me. Rachel? Rachel, can you hear me? Rachel? Okay, I'm not seem to be able to get her. All right, I will see if I can get in touch with her and add her back in. Thank you.
No worries. We will go ahead and start with question 1. Should Rachel be able to join, I will give Rachel her 2 minutes to have an opening statement, but we can begin with question 1 if everybody's okay with that. All right, great. Question 1 is, again, during your campaign, what is the #1 concern expressed to you by the citizens of Corpus Christi? And what is your response to this concern? And we'll start this question with Jim Klein.
Thank you. So I hear a couple of different questions, but really around the same theme. And that is that a lot of people believe that the city government really is not acting in the best interest of the general public. And that I hear that when the desalination question comes up, because again, these desal plants the city is planning are designed to provide industrial water for still more industries to come into the area here, but they want the public to pay for all this. Even though already industry, I think, is using something like 80% of the water that we're utilizing right now. And so they're concerned about that. I think they're also concerned about the streets, and they don't believe that the street repair schedule is working in the best interest of the general public. And again, I could point to Staples Street as the poster child for this, but I could look at Castores from a few years ago, or Ayers was just finished. It took 4 years to finish Ayers. And I understand that they're doing a lot of work underground as well with the stormwater drains, stormwater pipes, freshwater pipes as well, and they should be doing that. But this work is taking way too long. I used to lay asphalt a number of years ago, and these projects are taking at least twice as long as they should, maybe perhaps 3 times as long as they should. These contracts need to be incentivized so as to encourage people to finish these projects in a timely manner. Cities around the country have been doing this for more than half a century. I think we need to adopt that practice here in Corpus Christi as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And the next, we'll go to Michael Hunter next. And of course, if anyone needs me to repeat the question, since there's so many candidates, please let me know and I can.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Well, I mean, streets is the main issue, but I think in particular from the public, it would have to be potholes. We don't go a day without hearing about potholes. I mean, it is the biggest issue. We need to, it's actually 42 years ago now, we got rid of the street preventative maintenance program. And we stopped reconstructing a lot of the streets in the city. And 7 years ago, what we did is we started these programs back up because the streets are so deteriorated. I mean, you have to repair your car every time you drive down the street. And every year we put more money into it. That has grown every single year, and we're going to continue to do that. Thanks.
Thank you so much. The next person to answer the question will be John Garcia.
Can you
Repeat the question? Yes, sir. During your
Yes, please.
campaign, what is the number one concern expressed to you by the citizens of Corpus Christi? And what is your response to that concern?
I think would be public safety. The city is growing, which that brings crime to our neighborhoods. Which we want to keep our neighborhood safe, our senior citizens, our veterans, our children, and the citizens of Corpus Christi, safe as well. But also just meet with the city staff, with the police chief, and see the areas where the high crime is, and just get like the neighborhoods involved with maybe neighborhood watch or a committee or a board, with the city just maintaining like a low crime rate, with the city.
Great, thank you so much. The next person to answer the question will be Nancy Vera.
I think I've heard all of those, but I think those are all the symptoms of what the problem is, and that is that there's no real transparency from the city council, and that's what I hear. We don't know what they're doing. People say we don't know what to do. We don't. Right now, we're coming out of the pandemic, and we're coming out of shooters, active shooters, and of course we're afraid of the safety. But where's the money going? Is it going to tax abatements? I think so. Is it going to our children? No. Is it going to our homeless population? No. Is it going toward our parks? No. Is it going toward helping our families succeed or anything? No. Everything seems to be, according to what I hear, going to industry and their benefit, whether it's a decrease in their rates for what they pay in water. We as citizens, we pay more than they do, or whether it's because of tax abatements that they get $2.4 billion of and we don't get anything.
Thank you so much. And next we will go to John Martinez.
Yeah, so from the people on the streets, I mean, they've both been hit really. The big things are the condition of the streets and the potholes and public safety. With the streets and the potholes, filling potholes is a temporary solution, and nobody's really happy with that. But it's something that we have to do until we're able to get to the streets. We have a plan where we have a certain set of streets every year that are set to get repaired. But it takes time to do that. We fix thousands of streets every year, but there are still tens of thousands that need to be fixed. And so we just need to keep working on that. On public safety, with the neighborhood app and things like that, everybody knows what's going on. So people are, of course, concerned. Michael hit on it earlier. There was a plan of adding 5 new officers every year, and we'd been doing that. But this year we added 25 new officers at one time. So we're definitely spending the money on the public safety in the streets, what the people want. But it's not just adding officers, it's also adding equipment and resources for those officers to use.
Thank you so much. So that will conclude question 1. We will move on to question 2. Catherine, I just want to check in with you as the flight director. Are we?
Rachel Caballero, and so I'm going to, if we can go back, with your consideration candidates, if we can bring her on board and get her caught up, if that's okay with you. give her her time. So I'm going to bring her up now.
Sounds good. We'll bring her in. I'll allow her her 2-minute opening statement. I'll allow her to answer question 1, and then we'll continue on as a group to question 2.
Please unmute.
Hello.
Rachel, are you there?
Hi. Good
Hi, Rachel.
evening.
Good evening. Can you hear us all
I
right?
apologize. Yes, I can hear you now. I apologize. I was trying to get through, but I was getting dropped.
That's great. Well, what we would like to
I-
do, Rachel, is have you join
Mhm.
us. I'm going to allow you a 2-minute opening statement, as everyone else has been allowed that, as well as answer question 1. Each question, you have 1 minute to respond to the questions. Would you be okay with a 2-minute opening statement and then jumping into question 1, and then we'll jump right back into question 2 with everyone?
Sure.
Perfect. All right. Well, then go ahead and get started, Rachel, with your 2-minute opening statement, please.
Thank you. I want to thank you, the League of Women Voters, for having this forum and giving me the opportunity despite the connectivity issues. My name is Rachel Caballero. I'm running for City Council at large. The reason why I've chosen to run is because there are a lot of big issues coming to our that's involved right now, and I feel that our current City Council is not representing the community in the way that we need to be represented. There's a lot of special interests that is occurring. We have a lot of issues with our streets. That's the biggest complaint that you hear from citizens in Corpus Christi, and this has been the complaint for several years. And it feels like we are handling street issues at a glacial pace. We need to find out why it's taking so long, why streets are being done multiple times. We need to start asking the tough questions, and I believe that I would be that council person that would, hold people accountable, make sure we're spending money fiscally. We have the highest inflation rate this year, and they still increase tax rates and they increase usage fees. And I went to City Council and asked them not to do that, and they're just not hearing us. So I hope to be a representative of the community, not being backed by special interests, and to be a voice on council that represents us. So I thank you for this opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you
If
so
you guys
much.
want to give me question 1, sorry.
Yes, absolutely. No problem. Thank you for the opening statement. Question 1 was, during your campaign, what is the #1 concern expressed to you by the citizens of Corpus Christi? And what is your response to that concern?
I think that the first, I said that in my opening, is the condition of the streets. A second is the infrastructure, but the condition of the streets seems to be the biggest concern of the entire community. Being as that I don't have the experience and I've never held political office, I would have to see what that entails, but I imagine that it would be holding our, city manager accountable, reminding him that he works for the community and for council, and making sure that he is fulfilling, this need across the city at a faster pace and a more reasonable schedule. We can't keep waiting multiple years for things to get done. There needs to be some accountability there, and I plan to be that individual.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Yes, thank you so much for answering those questions. And we'll jump right into question 2, everyone. Question 2 is, a lack of affordable housing underlies or exacerbates many other social problems, including homelessness, substance abuse, and crime. What should the city do to address this issue? John Martinez, if you can please start.
Yeah, affordable housing is a huge issue in our city. One of the things that we're doing to address that is we're looking at an infill housing program throughout the city. What this does is it takes lots in existing neighborhoods and allows people to go in there and build more affordable homes than you would have in a newer neighborhood. And I think that offering the incentives to do that is something that will really help out with affordable housing here in Corpus Christi. We also have several projects that are subsidized by the state that are housing apartment complexes that are based on income, and you see them going up all over town. There are several of them that are going up right now, and we need to continue to encourage those projects that do give consideration to people's income when determining what the rent is going to be so that people can afford to live there.
Thank you so much. Next will be John Garcia.
Yeah, it's just like what John Martinez said. Yeah, it is a big, huge issue in our city. Me being in tourism, that's one big key issue that we have in our city. And I think with zoning, it depends. Versus like the zoning areas of the city, then of course, working with the city of Corpus Christi, based on, I guess, on the property values that families that could afford the homes. Just getting educated by their assistance and their services the city has to offer to them would be a big, huge help, because a lot of these families don't have good credit or they need help with loans. But I think going under the umbrella of the city, which would direct them, just direct them in how to purchase a home and just basically just help them.
Thank you so much. And next will be Dr. Jim Klein.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with the others. There is a need for affordable housing here in Corpus Christi, but we need to make sure that this is being done the right way. There's an organization in town right now partnering with the Corpus Christi Housing Authority. This company is called Thanksgiving Homes. They've been building homes up in the Donna Park neighborhood. This is not the thing to do. Donna Park is situated in between I-37 and the Refinery Row. And those refiners have already admitted over the last 3 years to exceeding the allowable emissions for benzene into the air. People should not be moving into Donna Park. We should not be encouraging people to move into Donna Park. We need affordable housing. It needs to be done further away from the refineries where the air is cleaner and healthier for people to live. So we need to be aware of that and keep track of just exactly where we're going to locate these homes for people to live in.
Thank you so much. Next will be Michael Hunter.
Thank you. Affordable housing has been a big issue for a long time. We've had a lot of multifamily unit projects going up throughout town. I guess Councilman Martinez hit on most of it. We do have several single family homes being put in several different neighborhoods across the city to help alleviate this process. I think one thing that I could add is that, we do have certain departments that have recently raised fees. And these fees make it more expensive to put up homes throughout the city. And when you make it more expensive to put up a home, that means the price of that home is going to go up, which means it's less affordable. We can't keep voting on those types of projects. I mean, those types of line item agenda items. Sorry. Anyways, the point is we can't raise these fees. These fees make the homes less affordable. And if we continue to do this, I mean, since I've been on there, we've done this twice, and it's getting a little bit ridiculous. But this is a council issue. And like also another thing that Councilman Martinez said earlier is we need to get 9 people. There's 9 people on this council. You have to have 5 votes to change these outcomes. And if we don't do that, we can't accomplish anything.
Thank you.
But,
Thank you,
yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Next to answer this question will be Rachel Caballero. Do you need me to repeat the question, Rachel? we can go to Nancy Vera, and hopefully Rachel will be available after Dr. Vera.
Thank you. Well, my thing is what's the holdup? This people without homes or with affordable housing isn't anything new. What's the plan? Why are we doing things piecemeal? That's not the way to handle this. We have a lot of people who are houseless with mental health problems, and we still aren't making that a priority in our community. Why not? Why are we saying, well, let's try this or let's try that? Where's the plan? And I think that what we can do is we can start looking at other places to see how they handle it, like they do in Austin, like they do in other places like Houston, and see what they're doing and emulate those and stop giving those $2.4 billion tax breaks to industry so we can take care of our families. I mean, what's the problem here? I don't see it. And I see the problem as being people who perhaps are not familiar or don't understand the issues like they should. And I think that we need to handle it a lot better, and we can.
Thank you so much. Rachel Caballero, are you available to answer question 2? Awesome. Perfect.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. You know, I'm not going to give the typical response that the city's trying to provide housing. I think that that's putting a Band-Aid on the issue. What we need to do is have representatives who are against raising taxes, because what's happening is they're raising taxes so high is that the city itself is creating the housing crisis because people can't afford to buy homes. They can't, afford to pay the taxes. And currently people are starting to not be able to afford to pay the water rates and all those other different things. So I think that it is so important that we have a community advocate on council to remind them of these things, because they can create as much affordable housing. We can do that, and that's a great start, but we have to go to the bottom of the issue, which is our tax rates are too high and it's becoming unaffordable to live in our city and our county. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for answering question 2. Moving on to question 3. Question 3 is, as a city councilwoman or city councilman of Corpus Christi, you will be the public face of this city. What one leadership strength will you exhibit if elected so that in 20 years, citizens will remember your leadership and positive accomplishments? And we'll start this question with John Garcia.
That's a good question. Being born and raised on the west side of Corpus Christi, I lived here all my life, and being in the tourism industry, Corpus Christi has so much potential to a point where I don't understand. I travel to Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, McAllen, and then when I come back to Corpus Christi, I'm like, what are they doing that we're not doing? I mean, San Antonio has a river walk. We have the Gulf of Mexico. That's real. The river walk is fake, and it's something that's a key thing for us, for our city. And to me, being elected, if elected by the citizens of Corpus Christi, I'm there to work for them. Without their vote, I wouldn't be elected. And I'm not there for industry or for me to make money. I'm there to be a voice for the citizens of Corpus Christi and do what's right, for the city of Corpus Christi. And I'm number 8 on the ballot, and I humbly appreciate the citizens of Corpus Christi's vote.
Thank you, sir. Next to answer that question will be Rachel Caballero.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I've grown up in Corpus Christi. I left for 13 years and I've been back now for 13 years. I think what we need and that I can provide is unity. I don't feel like the community is involved with our government, with our local governing body. I feel like there's a major disconnect there. And I know that I could maybe mend some of those bridges. Also, I have a background in finance, so I can look at budgets and analyze them and make sure and see where the disconnect is. Where is the money? Because the community says that they're not seeing $1.2 billion in our community, and I agree with that. So we need, somebody who has a strong accounting background, who's also advocating for the community to make sure that money is going where it's supposed to be going, and that the priorities that council is considering are the priorities of the community. And, at the end of the day, we are responsive to the community and no one else. And that is my goal, is to be more connected with the community and be more transparent so the community knows what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we will go to Dr. Jim Klein.
Thank you. So I don't know. I don't know if I have a style of leadership. I moved into leadership positions. I'm the president of the local Sierra Club group here in the Coastal Bend. I'm president or chair of the Clean Economy Coalition here as well. I've been president of our faculty association at Del Mar College as well. And actually at the state level, I was president of the state conference as well. I didn't really seek out any of those positions. I just really believed that someone needed to step up and do those positions, take on those positions, do the work. And that's really the attitude I think I would take on the city council as well, that someone needs to kind of, roll up their sleeves and really get it into the budget, look at it closely, look at what can be changed. What are our priorities? Budgets, Dr. King said most famously, budgets are moral documents, right? They tell us what our priorities are. And so we need to, I think, keep that in mind when we're crafting a new budget and then deciding how we're going to spend our money as well. And so I would bring that kind of work ethic, I think, and then, as I said, just intellectual curiosity into the position here as well, to constantly ask questions, constantly look at issues from a different direction, to try to make sure that kind of no stone goes unturned when determining how to best use the money submitted by the residents of Corpus Christi to the city government. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And next we'll go to Dr. Nancy Vera.
I think I want people to remember me as saying she took action, she didn't make promises. And when I'm talking about action, I'm talking about action for the working families, action for the children. I want this city to grow and prosper in a positive way for the human beings who live here. Not necessarily to bring more industry that's going to damage our environment. I want our children to grow up in a clean environment. And maybe that's one thing that I want to see, that everybody wants to see for a change. And putting the human being first is of utmost importance. I think if we start paying people what they need to be paid, for example, at the city, and we start doing collective bargaining, and we start forming labor unions so that our salaries go up, our wages go up, I think that would be a positive thing. And so if you're asking me what I want to do or what I want to be remembered by, is that Nancy, just like Martin Luther King said, was right on the issues, and she was right for the people.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll go to John Martinez.
I think the thing that I would like to be remembered by is being somebody that could bring people together to come up with a good solution. Being a council member and having an issue or being strong on one thing is okay. It's great. We need that. But you have to be able to work with other people. You have to be able to bring other people in to get a solution that works for everyone, because you're not going to win on your issue every time. Our community has so many great leaders in so many different areas that to be able to bring those leaders together and come up with solutions and ideas for our city is key, because as a council by ourselves, we don't have that knowledge in every area. And so it's important that we're able to bring people in and to use them, to utilize their skills and their expertise to really get things that can make this city better as a whole. And I hope that I'm remembered as a person that was able to do that and do that well, that I'm remembered as somebody that could bring people together.
Thank you so much. And finally, we will go to Michael Hunter.
Now, this is a tough question, and it's probably the toughest question that we have as leaders to respond to. But let's say, to be completely honest, I could care less if I'm remembered as long as everything gets done correctly, as long as everyone's taken care of. We're so far behind in so many different areas and having to pick up for decades of misappropriation that it's difficult. And sometimes if you're a leader and you try to get credit for things do not get accomplished. So I could care less if I'm remembered, as long as we start getting things done. But if I am remembered for something, I'd like to be remembered for progress and change. When I started on city council, we've had 11 out of the 13 new buildings in our downtown area have been built. We hadn't had one built since 1978.
Thank you so much. Well, this brings us to the part of the forum, y'all, where you will have 1 minute for a closing statement. And for the closing statement for 1 minute, we will start with Rachel Caballero.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I just want to say, again, thank you for the opportunity. I'm number 7 on the ballot. I authentically feel like if we want to settle for the status quo, we can keep voting for the same people over and over again. I do feel like on council, we need some diversity. Right now, it's 8 men and our mayor. And, we need some different intake from other, people. And I would be extremely proud to represent our entire community and not special interests, not our friends, not our buddies, not the people at the port. I am connected to no one, and my campaign report will prove that. I am literally a community advocate, and I hope to be able to represent our community come January. So thank you again for the opportunity. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Ms. Caballero. Next, we will go to John Garcia for your 1 minute closing statement.
Thank you again, Women's Voters League for hosting this, this Zoom, forum. I'm a, consensus builder. I'm not a divider, and I'll work to help people and bring positive focus to our city. We must all work relentlessly to help our local businesses have every door open to them so that we can all realize our dreams. And, I'm there to make our city prosper, make our citizens of Corpus Christi have transparency within our council, and just make, the greater Corpus Christi area a city where we invite all businesses to come in, small or big, to have opportunity for the city of Corpus to, just to have more paying jobs and having more people live here in Corpus Christi. And I'm number 8 in the ballot, and I humbly appreciate y'all's vote.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Next, we'll go to Michael Hunter.
Again, thank you all for having me. It's been an honor, and really appreciate y'all giving us this opportunity over WebEx. It makes things a lot easier. And anyways, I just really appreciate the opportunity. It's been an honor to be your city council member. I really appreciate your vote. If you like seeing street progress, then remember Michael Hunter when you come to the ballot, and number 4 on it. If you like seeing public safety progress, there's no greater person on the city council that's provided for public safety, if you remember a downtown incident a few years ago, than me. So anyways, thank you all for having me. It's been an honor.
Thank you, Mr. Hunter. Next, we will go to Dr. Jim Klein.
Yeah, thanks again for putting this on. And to the folks who are watching this, my name is Jim Klein. I'm going to ask for your vote here as well. But I really, more than anything else, I want you to go out and vote. We claim to live in a representative democracy, and representative democracy can only work if people participate. I know it can be difficult to keep track of all the candidates, all the different races, all the different ballots, all the different offices being sought, but do the best you can. Educate yourself as much as you can about the candidates. I got into this race because I was concerned about a lack of responsiveness of the city government to the public and a lack of accessibility. I see that in the desalination question, not just because of it, they want the public to pay for it, but because they want to pump that salty brine back into Corpus Christi Bay, endangering Corpus Christi Bay. I also want to make city government more accessible. One of the things I would call for is that city council meetings should be after 5 p.m. when the public, working men and women, can have a chance to attend. So my name is Jim Klein. I'm number 1 on the ballot amongst the at-large candidates. I'm asking for your vote. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Klein. Next will be John Martinez.
Thank you. And thank you to the League of Women Voters again for putting this on. 2 years ago when I ran on the promise of making our streets better and making our city safer. And in the last few years, what I've done to work on that is we've passed budgets where we have spent more money than we have ever spent on streets. And we're going to continue to do that. We've also added more officers and firefighters than we've ever done at any other time. And we're going to continue to do that. You know, I know that there's a lot of work that still needs to be done, but we're making progress. And if you elect me, we'll continue to work on that and continue to make that progress to make Corpus Christi the best place that it can be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. And last but not least, Dr. Nancy Vera.
I'm a 4th generation Corpus Christian. I have family all over Corpus Christi and the surrounding area. I know what our city needs because I've lived here all of my life. I've also been an organizer and an advocate for the disenfranchised and marginalized, for working families, for children for over 35 years. I think I have a proven record of being able to listen to everybody who has a concern, whether that be women. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters, the families and children, the laborers, the houseless, the environment, and the LGBTQIA+ community all will have a voice at the table if I'm elected. So I'm asking everyone to please vote for me for City Council at large, because with me, you will have a voice that's practically you. And so I hope that everyone does go out and vote, and please also support Jim Klein for City Council at large. Thank you.
Candidates, thank you so much for joining our forum this evening. It's very important and we are very grateful. I also want to say a big thank you to Catherine Oler, our Zoom flight director, and Debbie Noble, our director of our website and social media, for making this virtual forum possible. The League of Women Voters, Corpus Christi area, appreciates these candidates not only for their belief in the democratic process that we all enjoy in our nation, but also for their commitment to public service and the sacrifices that they have made to participate in the campaign process. So thank you all again very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening. Hello and welcome to the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi Area's Candidate Forum. My name is Eli McKay. I'm the Vice President of Voter Services. And on behalf of Catherine Oler, President of the Corpus Christi League, it is my pleasure to welcome y'all here. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. We neither support nor oppose candidates of any political party. Since its founding more than 75 years ago, the League's mission has been to promote voter awareness of candidates and issues, and to encourage individuals not only to register to vote, but also to vote in all elections. This forum was recorded on Wednesday, October the 12th, and later posted to the Corpus Christi League of Women Voters Facebook and YouTube pages. Recordings of this event may not be used without the express written approval of the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi area. The League will only allow audio or video of this event to be broadcast in its entirety, except by media reporting on the event. Joining me this evening is President Oler, who will serve as our Zoom flight director and help us keep time for this forum. This forum features 3 candidates for City Council District 1 of Corpus Christi: Billy Lerma, Tracy McCall, and Everett Roy. Unfortunately, Mr. Lerma was unable to join us this evening, so we will move forward with the forum with Tracy McCall and Everett Roy. And here's how this forum will proceed. Each participating candidate will be allowed 2 minutes for an opening statement and 1 minute for a closing statement. Between those two statements, candidates will be asked 3 issue-focused questions by the moderator, and candidates will have 1 minute to respond to each question. Rebuttals are not allowed. In unusual cases in which a candidate refers to the position or record of an opponent, a brief 30-second rebuttal may be allowed at the moderator's discretion. If mentioning opponents continues, the candidate will be muted by the Zoom flight director. A countdown timer will appear to remind you of your time limits. And when your time is up, we ask you please finish your sentence and yield the floor, or you will also be muted. With that, let us begin this candidate forum. We're going to begin with the opening statement, which is again 2 minutes, and we will start with Tracy McCall.
Okay, sorry about that. Can you hear me? Wait, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. So Tracy McCall, I am running for city council because I believe that, I know that I have the heart and passion, and there's a direction that I want to take the city to. My background is in chemical engineering. I have my bachelor's in chemical engineering, which is probably the most egregious engineering that anyone can get, because you take the most science classes, the most physics classes, and the most math classes. Apart from that, I also have my MBA, and I've been living in Corpus since I was in kindergarten, and specifically in District 1. So I've grown up in District 1, and I've seen it kind of throughout all of its stages of District 1. I graduated from Tulsa Midway High School, went to college at Texas A&M Kingsville, worked in industry for 15 plus years, raised my family here in Calallen. Now they go to Tulsa Midway. I'm actually at a football game right now, so sorry if anybody comes by and I'm waving or something, but I don't know, I'm excited about the race, and I think that whichever candidate is elected, I think we all pretty much have the same vision aligned for the city of Corpus Christi. So I think District 1 and all will be taken care of.
Thank you so much.
And I don't have, is my video on?
The video is not on at the moment.
No. Now it is.
Yeah, it is. Now we can see
Sorry
it.
about that.
No problem. Thanks for joining us. And Mr. Roy, if you can, 2 minutes for an opening statement, please.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for inviting us this evening. One of the things that is very important to me is, and I run on this platform, is I'm a veteran and a family man who listens. Part of the reason why I'm back in this race, I was a former city councilman, is that I had people stop me throughout District 1. I live in the Northwest area, in the Calallen area, and talk to me about a lot of the issues. I even, during my time off from city council, got involved and helped a lot of those people with those issues. And I got an overwhelming number of people that just came out and said, you know what, when we try to reach out to our current leadership, we don't get a phone call back. We don't get an answer. And I think that's very important. So I'm happy to be back out there running again. There's a lot of good things going on in the city of Corpus Christi. There's a lot of things that we can continue to improve on. And I want to be able to help improve on those things and keep the things that are going well alive. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Roy. We will go ahead and jump right into the questions. Question 1 for y'all is, during your campaign, what is the #1 concern expressed to you by the citizens of Corpus Christi, and what is your response to this concern? We'll start this question with Mr. Roy.
Well, I think one of the #1 concern and the biggest thing that I hear again is the fact that we're here to serve the people. We're here to serve our constituents, and we want to make sure that we're accessible. It's very important that when somebody has a problem, whether they be a private individual, a business, or whoever is in our community, that we get back to that individual and we listen to them and then take their concerns forward and just don't sit on those concerns. I think communication is important. We need to maybe, and all of this will help improve the quality of our life here and be able to retain people as our city grows.
Thank you so much. Same question, Ms. McCall. And I can repeat, if
Okay.
you need to repeat the questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, the question is, during your campaign, what is the #1 concern expressed to you by the citizens of Corpus Christi? And what is your response to this concern?
I would have to say that the #1 concern that everybody brings to me from, Cow Island all the way to North Beach is infrastructure. A lot of the places here, whether it's a business or residential, we have a drainage issue. Apart from just listening, it's actually taking action on what they're telling you. And whether you have one-on-one conversations with someone or you run into somebody, nowadays, everything's kind of on social media. Everybody is comfortable with putting all of their concerns out there. I think everybody on city council, even the county and within District 1, we all know what the concerns are. And it's who's actually going to take action and follow up on those concerns and actually have the passion and, doesn't really care that they're, the least popular sitting on that bench. It's more of you going, or on that chair, but it's more of you going and taking action on the concerns that you see on social media or you see within conversations, or you're having these one-on-one conversations with the people that are out there. But the main thing that I'm hearing is infrastructure. It's drainage, it's our streets. I get that a lot too from our CCPD and
Thank you,
our firefighters.
Thank you, Ms. McCall. 1 minute on the questions, just as a quick reminder to y'all. Question number 2, we'll go right into question number 2. A lack of affordable housing underlies or exacerbates many of our social problems, including homelessness, substance abuse, and crime. What should the city do to address this issue? And Ms. McCall, if you don't mind starting.
Overall homeless issue, I think, actually I know, is that we need to work together. It's not just the city's issue. It's bringing in nonprofit organizations, bringing in the county, bringing in corporations and people that actually have expertise and support on this. Something that I'm very big on is mental health, mental illness. I think that we need to put programs out there. I think the first thing that we need to do is get them off the streets and not just into a shelter, but actually into some sort of living like an apartment. When you're homeless, and you go into a shelter and you're with everybody else, it's very hard for you to get motivated to do anything. So we can get some sort of funding or program to put them actually in an apartment and then treat their illness. I think that's the direction to go. But I think overall, getting people off the streets first is the first thing you need to do. And then also, I think the second part of the question was overall affordable living. For that, again, programs that we have to work all together.
Thank you so much. Mr. Roy, same question.
Could you repeat the question again?
Absolutely. A lack of affordable housing underlies or exacerbates many other social problems, including homelessness, substance abuse, and crime. What should the city do to address these issues?
Well, first of all, I'd like to mention that I chair affordable housing program, which has over 13 complexes throughout Corpus Christi that service people that are underserved. And I will tell you that that's just a drop in the bucket. We need, first of all, to have more affordable housing and make it available to any of the people within Corpus Christi. As a veteran, I'm also concerned that we have a lot of veterans that are homeless due to mental health issues. That is a very big issue. And we have to work together locally with the county and the state to do a better job. And it's a concern. We have some facilities here. We have the old hospital that maybe we can do some work there. There's talk about maybe having a small village outside of town that can house some of the people, but we've got to do something because it is a crisis. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. All right, moving on to question 3. As a city councilwoman or city councilman of Corpus Christi, you will be the public face of our city. What is one leadership strength you will exhibit if elected so that in 20 years, citizens will remember your leadership and positive accomplishments? And for this question, again, we'll start with Tracy McCall.
For me, it's engagement and to be out, to be seen, to actually take action. I think that if I'm elected and as a city council for District 1, I think overall what I want to lead with is that she took action. She actually listened to us and she got the job done.
Thank you so much. Mr. Roy, same question.
You know, I've been involved in servant leadership in this community for the past 10 years. I came to Corpus Christi in 1982 originally and fell in love with the city. One of the things that, you know, hard work and consistency is important. But the other thing too is to make sure that that you're there for the people and you remember that, and that you limit yourself in terms of, you know, there's a lot of special interest groups out there that are pulling at the candidates and trying to get them to do certain things for their own purposes. And we got to make sure that we just remember that we're here for the people and the constituents, and we have to look out for our community overall.
Thank you so much. Well, we've come to the part of the forum where we have a 1-minute closing statement. Mr. Roy, we will start with you for the closing statement.
Again, I want to thank the League of Women's Voters for inviting me onto this forum. I'd like to thank Tracy McCall for joining. And, you know, it's a privilege to be able to serve. And it's important that, number one, that people get out and vote, because that's probably the biggest thing that we can do to help continue with our democracy and separate us from the rest of the world. You know, if I'm elected, I'm number 1 on the ballot. I will keep all of those things in mind. And we have a lot of work to do. Our infrastructure needs help. We've kicked the can down the road for too long of a period of time. It was told to me the other day that we spent $130 million in District 1 in improvements, and I don't see those improvements. We've got potholes, we've got safety issues, we've got lack of sidewalks where sidewalks are needed. We've got a job to do, and I'm ready to roll my sleeves up and do that job and fight for the people of District 1 and the city of Corpus Christi. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. McCall, 1 minute for a closing statement.
Okay, well, thank you for allowing us to come on here. I think for me is just accountability and transparency. As city council, I'll be very transparent. I'll have a podcast out on updating everybody on what is going on, what agenda items are coming up, and if you can't make it, I mean, it's going to be there. I think transparency is something that we need to bring. The other thing is accountability. We need to hold the city accountable, you know, from everything, from the time that it takes to finish a project to what contractors are using, hold them accountable. But Tracy McCall for District 1, I think everybody that's running, I applaud them, because it's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of effort, and it's majority volunteering and being out in front of everybody. So thank you again for having me on, and go out and vote.
Thank you so much. Yes, and candidates, we appreciate you joining our forum. We know you're very busy. So thank you for being here and joining us. I also want to say a big thank you to Catherine Oler, our Zoom flight director this evening, and also Debbie Noble, our director of our website and social media, for making this virtual forum possible. The League of Women Voters Corpus Christi area appreciates these candidates not only for their belief in the democratic process that we all enjoy in our nation, but also for their commitment to public service and the sacrifices that they've made to participate in the campaign process. So thank you again, candidates, and I hope you have a great evening. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi Area's Candidate Forum. My name is Eli McKay. I'm the Vice President of Voter Services. On behalf of Catherine Oler, President of the Corpus Christi League, it is my pleasure to welcome y'all here. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. We neither support nor oppose candidates of any political party. Since its founding more than 75 years ago, the League's mission has been to promote voter awareness of candidates and issues and to encourage individuals not only to register to vote, but also to vote in all elections. This forum was recorded on Wednesday, October the 12th, and later posted to the Corpus Christi League of Women Voters Facebook and YouTube pages. Recordings of this event may not be used without the express written approval of the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi area, and the League will only allow audio or video of this event to be broadcast in its entirety, except by media reporting on the event. Joining me this evening is President Oler, who will serve as our Zoom flight director and help us keep time for this forum. This forum will feature 3 candidates for City Council District 2 of Corpus Christi: Sylvia Campos, Brian Rosas, and Mark Scott. And here's how this forum will proceed. Each participating candidate will be allowed a 2-minute opening statement and a 1-minute closing statement. Between those 2 statements, candidates will be asked 3 issue-focused questions by the moderator, and candidates will have 1 minute to respond to each question. Rebuttals are not allowed. In unusual cases in which a candidate makes a reference to the position or record of an opponent, a brief 30-second rebuttal may be allowed at the discretion of the moderator. If mentioning opponents continues, the candidate will be muted by our Zoom flight director. A countdown timer will appear to remind you of your time limits, and when the time is up, we ask you to please finish your sentence and yield the floor, or you will be muted by the Zoom flight director as well. With that, let's go ahead and begin this candidate forum. We're going to start with a 2-minute opening statement. Ms. Campos, we will start with you.
Thank you. Well, my name is Sylvia Campos, and I am a lifelong resident of Corpus Christi. I've lived most of my life in District 2 or District 3. I have 2 grown sons and 6 grandchildren, so I love that they live near me. I'm an activist. My background was, I started with the social forum back about 20 years ago. It was an idea that was brought back here by me to organize people to solve their own issues. And I also, that's what started my activism, is trying to bring people together. So I've been president of the Corpus Christi Populist Caucus. I was president of the Corpus Christi Voters Association. I was on the Park and Rec Board for 6 years. I was on the Tree Advisory Board. I was National Bernie delegate. I am now serving as an organizer for the greater good. So as you can see, my background is probably going to be very different from my 2 opponents. It's all been grassroots, organizing, being part of the community, and really knocking on doors and listening to the people. I hope to continue that and to bring that to District 2, because I feel that District 2 does represent the heart of Corpus Christi. It's now even more diverse, and I love that. And I just want to continue to see our city thrive. I love our city. I love our bay. I want to protect it. And I want to make sure that all the corporations that are here pay their fair share and that we protect our bay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Campos. Next, we'll go to Mr. Brian Rosas.
Good afternoon. I want to thank the Women League of Voters for having me. My name is Brian Rosas. I was a city council member in 2014 and 2016. We served, I myself and Mr. Scott served before. Again, you sometimes see where things are going and you want to jump back in. I'm a lifelong resident of District 2, born and raised in District 2. I live in District 2. Lived here most of my life. My parents used to have the election in their garage, so that's how much we've been involved with the community. Again, I'm a graduate of University. I got a master's. I'm married to a lovely wife, Deanna Rosas. We have a blended family. We have one son and 3 girls. We have 4 lovely children. We have 2 dogs, no, 3 dogs, and a cat. So, and I think she just inherited another one. So, again, why I'm running is just to make sure we keep moving forward. Things that we're doing here. Residential streets were a big promise I made back then, and we started it back then in 2016. So we were the first pilot program that started at Ralston. It started the first pilot program of residential streets where it was entirely rebuilt. So again, it's something that you have to do, and you have to make friends on council. You have to have 5 votes. Again, I'm Mr. Residential Street when it comes to that. I work at the Army Depot, and again, just had the urge to run again, and I'm hoping that the voters come out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosas. Mr. Scott, 2 minutes for your opening statement, please.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you to the League of Women Voters. It's been important to Carol and I over the years. Carol's former president of the league, and so this is a gift that you guys provide, and we appreciate it. My name is Mark Scott. I was raised in Kingsville, Texas. Both my parents were school teachers. Dad taught at A&I. My mother was a 5th grade teacher. I went to Texas A&I and got a degree in business, which is where I met Carol. We married and moved to Corpus Christi in the mid-'80s and have lived here ever since. We have 2 kids, Christopher, 32, and Alex is 30. So we've raised our children here in Corpus Christi, and Corpus Christi has been very kind to Carol and I. Both of our business careers have been here in Corpus, and we've enjoyed the time that we've given back. The things that are important to me are water planning and military affairs opportunities. I think that I serve on the Regional Water Planning Group, which I think is important as we move forward in our water planning efforts. I've also served off and on for years in the Military Facilities Task Force. And I think the military opportunities that are in front of us are significant. Been involved in Corpus Christi for probably 30 years, including Ford University, former president of the Alumni Association at A&M Corpus Christi. I'm back in politics. I was a city councilman in the past, and which to be a city councilman again here in the future. Again, I think there's opportunities in front of us to grow this community. That I think it's important that we tackle the water issues before us. I think there's some unique opportunities before us in regards to military facilities planning. Again, the name is Mark Scott, and I'm running for District 2.
Thank y'all so much for those opening statements. Next, we'll move on to question 1. During your campaign, what is the #1 concern expressed to you by the citizens of Corpus Christi, and what is your response to this concern? Mr. Scott, we'll start with you.
Thank you. Awesome. It's the #1 concern is streets. It has been since Brian and I were on the council before, and I might point out that I was on the councils that created the funding mechanisms that the councils are using today to actually tackle street maintenance and reconstruction, and now residential streets. So it's by far a conversation about streets. What I would do, I'd continue funding. I think there's opportunities to increase funding for neighborhood streets. I think there's also opportunities to expand the neighborhood street funding program. Those are council member decisions, and I've got on my list of to do if I'm elected at the end of this city council campaign.
Thank you so much, Mr. Scott. Next, we'll go to Sylvia Campos. And of course, candidates, if you need me to repeat the question, please let me know.
The #1 concern is, of course, streets, sidewalks, lighting. I include lighting because my opponent has said, well, if you want it, people can just pay for it. Well, it's something that should be provided by our city. And the sidewalks was always an afterthought for the street planning. And it wasn't until we started raising those issues. And I just have to say that, the 2 opponents that I have had that opportunity before to address those issues. And I mean, it's been going on for at least 20 years to my knowledge. The streets, sidewalks, lighting, public infrastructure, our parks and senior centers, libraries, those have been left behind. And I don't understand why. The people have spoken and they need to be heard.
Thank you, Ms. Campos. Mr. Rosas, same question.
I would say first and foremost would be the streets. I think we all can agree on that the residential streets and the streets in general, the infrastructure here in Corpus Christi has been tough. Living in District 2, back then, we had about 89% of the streets were dilapidated. Like, there's certain grading in order for them to actually get rebuilt and redone. A lot of people say, hey, all you do is fill potholes, but that's not the case. It goes to a study and they have to make sure they're marked a certain way. So again, the streets, of course, safer neighborhoods. We've talked about that before. Being part of Lindell is a good thing. They have their group that comes out and they definitely want to be, again, those kind of things. And probably the second biggest would probably be the dogs with code enforcement and maybe animal control here in District 2. So those are the main ones so far. But again, if elected, we'll definitely push.
Thank you all so much for those answers. Moving on to question 2. A lack of affordable housing underlies or exacerbates many other social problems, including homelessness, substance abuse, and crime. What should the city do to address these issues? Mr. Rosas, we'll start with you.
Well, as we know with the homelessness, it's actually 3-tier. There's someone has really had a bad, dealt a bad deck of cards, if you will, and they're trying to get out of that. Secondly is mental illness, and thirdly is merely just don't care. I think it's important that we have some kind of guidance. I know there are some resources to help the first tier that wants to get back out. And then second, the mental health issue is a big thing. So I think it's important that they, in dealing with that, you have to definitely have some kind of spirituality to get there. But again, we make it diverse. District 2 is one of the biggest ones. There's a lot of dilapidated places. We could do a private public ownership where we can get a lot of houses built and definitely get affordable housing done to get some people into some homes. So again, but with everything going up, it's a tough thing. And I like to stress there are needed to have at least 5 votes on that council.
Thank you, Mr. Rosas. Mr. Scott, same question.
Awesome, thank you. When I was on the council previously, I served as chairman of the city's housing corporation. During that tenure, we went out and sought CDBG funds from the federal government that helped subsidize some of our affordable housing efforts. We also were active, and I actually spoke at the Texas Department of Housing in Austin to try to get additional funds here to Corpus. The real issue is the cost of housing, right? So what are we doing to try to reduce the cost of housing? And the city, by the way, is in the midst of a conversation that could lead to as much as $10,000 in additional costs in new housing. So the first thing we want to do is control costs, and that means fees at City Hall, and I would be active in that effort to try to reduce or at least control the increase in fees that cost for people to build housing. The second is to look for infill. District 2 is a big infill opportunity, and the city needs to work with the county and other government entities to kind of put back some of that private empty lots into development opportunities, and then incentivize people to build in District 2.
Thank you. Ms. Campos, same question.
As far as you asked about the homelessness, right?
Yes, I will repeat the question real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Catherine, if you don't mind restarting the timer, sorry about that. A lack of affordable housing underlies or exacerbates many other social problems, including homelessness, substance abuse, and crime. What should the city do to address these issues?
Yes, I think one of the programs that we could get started would be a mentoring program, just like we do with GASA. We could start a program where we would have volunteers be assigned as like a caretaker for some of the people that really needs help in substance abuse and mental health. That would be one. That would be, very easy to do. And the other is, yes, we have all mentioned about the in-house building of homes, tackling the blight at the same time. But again, my two opponents have been in office for, before, and why this has not been tackled. But we could also, we could get a list of all the homes that are listed in District 2 that are empty. And we also have federal money that now we can apply for. And why we're not doing that, I don't know. As a matter of fact, that's the number one thing that I would be asking is, where is our money?
Thank you, Ms. Campos. Moving on to question 3. As a city councilwoman or city councilman of Corpus Christi, you will be the public face of our city. What is one leadership strength you will exhibit if elected so that in 20 years, citizens will remember your leadership and positive accomplishments? Ms. Campos, we'll start with you.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you, League of Women Voters. I hadn't even had a chance to say that, but I think the bottom line, and I have it, is our heart. I think you have to have heart to serve the community. And I think that's what's been missing in our city council persons in our council, is that when I go there and I listen to people day after day after day being ignored, that's why I want to implement a 14-day rapid response team, that anybody that comes to city council and has to spend those 3 minutes, having to explain their problems and then not to address it at all, that, what does that say? What does that say about the city council and as a whole? Not even one of them ever met with me or any of the other environmentalists or the people that advocated for bikes or anything else. That comes first, having a heart. And I hope that will come across. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Campos. Mr. Rosas, same question.
Well, I have to kind of interject and say, I think there's a passion for running. Otherwise, none of us would be doing it. There's definitely a big passion for the city. And I think it's important that we do listen. First and foremost, I don't think it really matters if we're remembered. I think it's just more accomplishments that we get done for the people. Again, I have to go back to what we did do when I was on council. It was a short-lived 2 years, but we did the residential program, the pilot program that started Ralston and Rogerson. We started the residential streets again. We started a zero-based budgeting, which seemed to work well. It cut some costs without defunding anybody at all, but it made people more aware of what they had to do. And again, that's kind of real stuff that people need to go by, because right now with inflation and everything, I think we've all had to cut our own stuff. So I would say passion more than being remembered about anything, but there is definitely love for the city and what we want to accomplish, but not so much to be remembered for.
Thank you, Mr. Rosas. Mr. Scott, same question.
Thank you. I want to point out, I think Brian makes a good comment. I don't think any of the 3 of us are doing this because we want to be remembered, 20 years from now. I do think that I do it because I enjoy tackling difficult problems. I was a leader in Packery Channel efforts, years ago, and JFK Causeway when I was the District 4 rep, Waterburger Field being another one. I think what's fun about being a council member, and I do find pleasure in it, is tackling difficult issues that have long-term benefits. Water supply is certainly a huge issue in our future. You can't grow without water. So council members need to be focused on issues like water that allow us to grow. So I think it's about tackling tough issues, and that's something that I want to take pride in if elected, that I look back and then I was able to work on difficult projects.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you all so much for answering our questions. And we've come to the portion of the forum where you have 1 minute for a closing statement. Mr. Scott, we will start with you for the 1 minute closing statement.
Awesome. Thank you again. And thank you so much to the League of Women Voters for this opportunity to communicate with the with the public in general and the District 2 voters in particular for the three of us. Again, my name is Mark Scott. I've served on the city council before. I'm proud of my record. It wasn't perfect, but I think we moved this community forward. And at the end of the day, you hope that you're doing things that can move the community forward. I think those are going to be big issues that we need to tackle in this next 2 years. I think water planning is a huge deal. I think they're really unique opportunities to support our military presence. And in fact, begin that long-term planning process that allow us to grow its existence. My focus will be on neighborhoods. I think great cities are built upon great neighborhoods. I think we have the opportunity to do great things in neighborhoods of Corpus Christi. Again, my name is Mark Scott, and I'd simply ask you to vote for me in this upcoming election. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Ms. Campos, your closing statement, 1 minute, please.
Thank you. And I think, yes, I think the water issue is at least in the forefront. We want to make sure that we protect our bay. We want to make sure that the citizens have a say in this desalination. My opponents probably are not going to bring it up. And this is what it's about. You know, what is it that you want for the city? Do you want the city turned into a wasteland? Because that's what's going to happen. If the desalination goes through, it will open up the floodgates to heavy industry. And what about the people? You know, the people are the ones that stay here. I want to stay focused on us. You know, we have bike paths that we can start implementing. We've got grants that if the city would apply to. But at the end of the day, it really is about listening to the people and making sure that they're heard, that it's not about special interests. It's about what is best for the community. And I hope that comes through. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Campos. Mr. Rosas, your 1 minute closing statement.
Again, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for having me. It's always been a great pleasure. Sorry we had to do it on Zoom. I was hoping to do it in person, but again, it was good when it was back in City Hall. Again, Brian Rosas, I'm number 2 on the ballot. I do have to agree with some of the sayings. You know, we do need a viable source of water. That's a must. However it comes out, we definitely need to make sure it doesn't affect our bays. I think everyone is on point on that when it comes to that. But viable source of water, increase our tax base, the infill of District 2 would be a big boost to the economy. And again, residential streets, and of course, the lighting and anything else that we need to provide for our citizens. I mean, you guys are the ones that get us voted. You're the ones that get us out. And again, those are some of the main things that we need to understand. But we are public servants, and I think we all do it for a passion. I love Corpus Christi, especially District 2. So I look forward to you voting for me. District 2, number 2 on the ballot, Brian Rosas. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates, so much for attending our forum. It's so important, and we're very grateful that you are here. I also want to say a big thank you to Catherine Oler, our Zoom flight director and president of the Corpus Christi League of Women Voters. Also, thank you to Debbie Noble, our director of our website and social media, for making this virtual forum possible. The League of Women Voters Corpus Christi area appreciates these candidates not only for their belief in the democratic process that we enjoy in our nation, but also for their commitment to public service and the sacrifices they have made to participate in the campaign process. So thank you again. I hope you all have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. We'll see y'all.
Hello and welcome to the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi Area's Candidate Forum. My name is Eli McKay. I'm the Vice President of Voter Services. And on behalf of Catherine Oler, President of the Corpus Christi League, it is my pleasure to welcome y'all here. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. We neither support nor oppose candidates of any political party. Since its founding more than 75 years ago, the League's mission has been to promote voter awareness of candidates and issues, and to encourage individuals not only to register, but to vote in all elections. This forum was recorded on Wednesday, October the 12th, and later posted to the Corpus Christi League of Women Voters Facebook and YouTube pages. Recordings of this event may not be used without the express written approval of the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi area, and the League will only allow audio or video of this event to be broadcast in its entirety, except by media reporting on this event. Joining me this evening is President Older, who will serve as our Zoom flight director and help us keep time for the forum. This forum will feature 3 candidates for City Council District 3 of Corpus Christi. Armand Alex, Roland Barrera, and Eric Cantu. Unfortunately, this evening, Mr. Cantu was unable to join us, so we will move forward with the forum with Mr. Barrera and Mr. Alex. And this is how the forum will proceed. Each participating candidate will be allowed 2 minutes for an opening statement and 1 minute for a closing statement. Between those statements, candidates will be asked 3 issue-focused questions by the moderator, and candidates will have 1 minute to respond to each of those questions. Rebuttals are not allowed, and in unusual cases in which a candidate refers to the position or record of an opponent, a brief 30-second rebuttal may be allowed at the moderator's discretion. If mentioning opponents continues, the candidate will be muted by our Zoom flight director. A countdown timer will appear to remind you of your time limit, and when your time is up, we ask you to please finish your sentence and yield the floor, or you will be muted by our Zoom flight director. With that, let's begin this candidate forum. So we're going to start with your opening statements. You'll have 2 minutes for your opening statement. Mr. Alex, we'll start with you.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for allowing us to be able to participate in today's event. I surely am a big fan of democracy and accessibility and the opportunity for folks to get to know their candidates and who they're voting for. My name is Armand Alex. I'm running for City Council District 3 simply because I want to make sure that our taxes are lowered, that our streets are fixed in a reasonable timeline, and that our rights and our environment are protected. I'm a Corpus Christi native, born and raised, Tejano, proud Black and Tejano native to our area, a Hall of Fame graduate from Foy H. Moody High School, and I attended A&M Corpus Christi for a degree in communications and public relations. And I am proud to be running to represent our community because we have a diverse community. District 3 is primarily made up of Black and Hispanic voters and folks that live there in District 3. It is important that someone on council understands the demographics of our areas because our district has some of the worst health inequalities and wealth inequalities. And that means that an equal approach to city council is not what's needed. What is needed is an equitable approach to the solutions that is afflicting our district. We need to make sure that the solutions that we are putting forth to address homelessness, to address financial illiteracy, to address our streets, are being done in an equitable fashion. What is equal to the South Side is not equal to the West Side. And we need to make sure that our families are being protected, that our kids can get to school and stay safe. If you vote for me, you are voting for someone that is honest, experienced, and tough enough to stand up for taxpayers. I've had my time on city government, on the Island Strategic Action Committee, and as the vice chair of the Mayor's Environmental Task Force. If you vote for me, we can get the job done together and make sure that we see progress and equity for our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Alex. Mr. Barrera, your 2 minute opening statement, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was waiting for the clock to start, but okay. Anyway, well, thank you again, League of Women Voters. This is always a fun event. I miss it when we used to have it at City Hall. I thought that made it a lot more exciting. Being able to look at the candidates and deal with the audience, I think it added an element of pressure that was just a lot of fun. You know, I've been on the council for 2 terms now, and I've served in a public capacity for many years. I served on the RTA board for 8 years. I was chairman for 2. I've advocated for this community on a national level, at a state level. I've been an advocate for small business as the chairman of the Texas Association Mexican-American Chambers of Commerce at the legislative level, once again, and from a national and a state level. From the industry that I'm in, I've recognized that the challenges that we face are demographic. You know, born and raised, I'm also a graduate of Moody High School. And so I understand the challenges facing there. I particularly feel that as one a candidate from the district, born and bred, also has been I've been very active. I mentor at West Oso High School for at-risk youth there. One of the things I advocate for is a college education for all those children. I've been one that also has advocated as well for the disparity in access to healthcare, of which something because of my industry that I feel is very, very important and that we need to continue to address. I think there's more activity been done on the west side now than ever before, I say, than the last 18 years. We've redone Ayers, we've redone Friel Street, we've done the Holly on the other side by Greenwood, what have you. We've improved the green streets. We put over $1 million into Salinas Park, and now those west side ball fields now in our bond election, there's going to be about $4.5 million set aside for that. So I'm looking for your vote, and I'm rolling Barrera.
Thank you all so much for those opening statements. We will jump right into the questions. Question number 1 is, during your campaign, what is the number one concern expressed to you by the citizens of Corpus Christi? And what is your response to this concern? Mr. Barrera, we'll start with you.
All right, well, thank you very much. That's an excellent question. Without a doubt, I think the most top of mind issue for anyone has been streets. One of the things that this council has done is the fact that we've recognized that that's a big issue. What have you. We've put more money aside for streets than any council before us. I mean, if you look at and then we've also incorporated bringing some of those reconstruction in-house so that way we could get to it much more quickly. We've gone to a system where now we've developed a 5-year plan so that way individuals can see when they're scheduled to be reconstructed, and that way they can work with the council member to say, okay, what we need to do so that way we can get there. Now we used to just go to the squeaky wheel, the ones that had the hardest time. Now we're working also from the middle to try and extend the life of those streets. So we've heard that, we're moving forward, and we still cut your taxes here just recently.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Alex, your response to question 1.
Thank you, Eli. I would agree with Mr. Barrera that, in fact, a lot of people are concerned about the streets and our infrastructure in District 3. The issue that I have, though, is the rate at which they're being fixed. Unfortunately, we are seeing streets that are just taking quite too long to be fixed. When I go door to door, as I have been for the past at least a month, practically every day, what I'm hearing from some of the local brown and black business owners is that when a street is in front of their business and it is being under construction for months on end, it impacts the amount of traffic they get into their area. That affects their pocketbooks. That affects what kind of food they're able to put on the table with their families at the end of the day. I think it's really important that we make sure to address these issues. And one way we can do that is to take a look at the contracts. We need to make sure that the contracts are working for the city and not the other way around. We can make sure if the city is in charge of those contracts timeline, we can cut down that how long it takes for the streets to be fixed. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for those answers. Moving on to question 2. A lack of affordable housing underlies or exacerbates many other social problems, including homelessness, substance abuse, and crime. What should our city do to address these issues? Mr. Alex, we'll start with you.
Thank you so much for this question. I think this is one really important. We can see without a doubt that the amount of homeless population, we can see it to District 3, we can see it to District 2, and District 1. Unfortunately, there isn't much of an attempt to address the houseless folks in our area. And this is something that we need to do, whether it's dealing with mental health, whether it's dealing with mentorship programs to make sure they get housing. There are programs and there's federal money at play. We need to be able to grab for it and do better for our residents here in District 3. I think what's really phenomenal is in the past few years, we've seen some housing being built for these communities. We need to do this quicker and much faster and not just piecemeal. We need to make sure that we are doing bold steps in the right direction to provide housing for all folks on our streets. Because at the end of the day, we need to make sure that our families and our residents can put food on their table and they have a protected and safe environment for themselves and their families. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barrera, same question.
Eli, could you ask the question again?
Absolutely. A lack of affordable housing underlies or exacerbates many other social problems, including homelessness, substance abuse, and crime. What should the city do to address this issue?
Well, I think one of the things that we've done is that we've established a program with neighborhood services, in particular that deals with people that have homeless issues, people that have substance abuse issues. So that way we can particularly address those things, and that those particular issues, we're working with several nonprofits throughout the region that deal with that they're the experts, so that how can we facilitate that? Working with MHID, so that way those individuals get the support they need. In addition, in District 3 is one of the largest recipients of funding from tax credits from the TWHCA. We also received, we're the only area in Nueces County to receive funds from the General Land Office. We received $12 million for affordable housing. For multifamily units. We're establishing another one on Greenwood and and Galahar. There's been several units of what I've been an advocate because of all the work that I do at the legislature and my relationships there. So we're working on it. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much for those answers. Moving on to question number 3. As a city councilman of Corpus Christi, you will be the public face of our city. What one leadership strength will you exhibit if elected so that in 20 years, citizens would remember your leadership and positive accomplishments? And Mr. Alex, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Eli. I think this is an interesting question. Going door to door, for me, it's about public service. It's about how we can have that specific person, our residents' voice in city council. I don't think all too often about what I want to be remembered by, certainly because I think any public service should be at the forefront, community prioritizations. So if elected, my main concern is getting work done, making sure that our community has a voice at the table with every decision being made. If I were to be remembered for something, it's about mediation and communication. Our city deserves, our residents deserve to have better communication of what our city is doing, so that they can be more educated and aware of the problems around them, as well as making sure that we can work together. It's one thing to be very passionate about an issue, but the truth is we won't always win on every issue we're passionate about. So we need to work together to find a medium ground. If I'm to be remembered for anything, it's to be a mediator and a communicator, to bring people together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Pereira, same question.
Well, I think one of the things that I'm known for now is the ability to be able to bring a group together, so that way we can basically come to an arrangement. What have you? Because of the relationships that I've built throughout the legislature, throughout the region, and what we've been able to do is to be able to build a consensus to bring dollars to not only to Corpus Christi, but to bring it to District 3. As I'd indicated before, the funds that we've accumulated basically from affordable housing, the development that we've been able to do, work with developers to be able to find attractive properties for them to be able to develop in District 3. We've been able to find incentives for people to develop. Now, those projects now are still coming to fruition, but we've got projects going on in West Oso to build much needed ad valorem. The idea, the ability to understand all those contacts, bring them together, build a consensus, and get the job done.
Thank you all so much. We have come to the part of the forum where you have 1 minute for a closing statement. And Mr. Barrera, we will start with you.
It's been a pleasure serving on the council. It's been a test in patience. There's been a lot of challenges, but it's unbelievably rewarding to be able to provide support to individuals, whether they be with animal control, where there's a problem with animals in their neighborhood, whether it be that their neighbor is not taking care of their property, and we want to ensure we get code enforcement out there, we get it in line, whether it be the situation of just being a servant to have something that people will remember, that, hey, this is a great place to live. I've always said that Corpus Christi, I love Corpus Christi. I've lived here all but 4 years of my life. I was lucky enough to get fired from my job and had to come back home. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I've just being able, that opportunity to give back. And I think we provided results. And We've had more development in District 3, as I would say, probably in the last 18 years. And we've been able to holistically, pragmatically look at that. And I just ask for your vote again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Alex, your 1-minute closing statement.
Thank you again to the League of Women Voters for allowing us to be here today. Certainly, like I said before, I'm a fan of accessibility and clarity of who you're voting for. My name is Armand Alex. I'm running for City Council District 3 because we deserve better. We can do better. Admittedly, we are being able to see some progress in our district, but it needs to happen faster, and that's what we deserve. Truthfully, we got two candidates that are running against the incumbent. If things were fine and dandy, there wouldn't be anyone to run up against. What we need to see is more progress in our area. We have got people living on the streets. We have got unsafe streets. We need to make sure that these are the issues that we are fighting for. If you want a voice back at City Hall, at City Council, vote Armand Alex for City Council District 3. If you want to make sure our kids are safe and you can provide food on the table at the end of the day, vote for Armand Alex for City Council District 3. When you vote for Armand Alex, you are voting for someone that is honest, experienced, and tough enough to stand up for taxpayers, for someone that has a clean slate. Thank you so much, Armand Alex.
Candidates, thank you so much for joining our forum. It's so important, and we're very grateful that you were able to join us this evening. I also want to say a big thank you to Catherine Oler, our Zoom flight director, and Debbie Noble, our director of our website and social media, for making this virtual forum possible. The League of Women Voters Corpus Christi area appreciates these candidates not only for their belief in the democratic process that we enjoy in our nation, but also for their commitment to public service and the sacrifices they have made to participate in this campaign process. So thanks again very much, and I hope y'all have a great evening.
Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi Area's Candidate Forum. My name is Eli McKay. I am the Vice President of Voter Services, and on behalf of Catherine Oler, President of the Corpus Christi League, it is my pleasure to welcome you. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. We neither support nor oppose candidates of any political party. Since its founding more than 75 years ago, the League's mission has been to promote voter awareness of candidates and issues, and to encourage individuals not only to register to vote, but also to vote in all elections. This forum was recorded on Wednesday, October the 12th, and later posted to the Corpus Christi League of Women Voters Facebook and YouTube pages. Recordings of this event may not be used without the express written approval of the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi area. The League will only allow audio or video of this event to be broadcast in its entirety, except by the media reporting on this event. Joining me this evening is President Oler, who will serve as our Zoom flight director and help us keep time for the forum. This forum will feature two candidates for City Council District 5 of Corpus Christi, Christopher Haig and Gil Hernandez. Here is how this forum will proceed. Each candidate will be allowed 2 minutes for an opening statement and 1 minute for a closing statement. Between those two statements, candidates will be asked 3 issue-focused questions by the moderator. Candidates will have 1 minute to respond to each question. Rebuttals are not allowed. In unusual cases in which a candidate refers to the position or record of an opponent, a brief 30-second rebuttal may be allowed at the moderator's discretion. If mentioning opponents continues, the candidate will be muted by the Zoom flight director. A countdown timer will appear to remind y'all of your time limits, and when the time is up, we ask you to please finish your sentence and yield the floor, or you will be muted by our Zoom flight director as well. With that, let's begin this candidate forum. We're going to begin with our 2-minute opening statement, and Mr. Haig, you will begin.
Hi. I'm Christopher Haig, and I'm running for City Council District 5. I'm a medically retired Navy combat vet that's been deployed overseas in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Enduring Freedom, and Operation New Dawn. I'm a tech venturist and owner of Phoenix Technology Consulting located in downtown Corpus Christi. I'm running for office because we deserve better. Here's the thing, District 5 is a predominantly residential district. Our infrastructure, from our streets to our drainage to our telecommunications, have been neglected. We don't have to wait for a hurricane to happen. A simple rainstorm causes our streets to flood and property to become damaged. We've all heard about streets and infrastructure, but what you don't know is how District 5 is going to affect the rest of the city in the upcoming election. The bond 2022 proposal was evenly divided between all 5 districts. Gil Hernandez pushed for a $10 million luxury pool at Bill Witt Park, which is half of the entire budget for the city's park. So instead of spending over $12 million on streets like the other 4 districts, Gil reduced street budgets by $6.3 million for the luxury pool, a pool for which all citizens will pay for. And this is just for the pool's construction, not the ongoing costs that will be needed to operate and maintain this facility. My opponent has a track record of siding with industry over the needs of our residents. Let's look at the bond 2020 issue that paid for the road to nowhere. Does it not upset you that the road provides little value to the community as a whole? We have other issues that need to be addressed. There is an immediate return on investment to our tax dollars. I don't think so. Our tax dollars are being wasted, and it will continue to be wasted as Gil remains in office. Gil doesn't advocate for this community. He advocates for himself. Keep in mind, we're a residential district, and I want to truly reduce property tax, repair our streets and infrastructure, and bring business into our community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. As a reminder, this is a candidate forum, and so we do definitely recommend not talking about your opponent's record, and that would be appreciated, Mr. Hague. Thank you. Mr. Hernandez, if you don't mind, your 2-minute opening statement.
Well, thank you to the League of Women Voters for allowing us to have this forum. I wasn't expected to be attacked for 2 minutes on the opening comments from my opponent, but to address some of the things that he did and mentioned were wrong. But I'll cover that in a second. I want to give you a little bit of background on myself. I'm a graduate of Texas Tech University. After graduating, I was commissioned as a United States Naval officer. I served overseas, took an overseas position in Japan. I was there for 3 years. In Asia, which is pretty much all of Asia. The very first joint exercise with the Russian Navy in 1996 in Vladivostok, Russia. Also went to the Persian Gulf, actually took the USS Dexterous to Bahrain and was there in 1996. That's when the Khobar Towers were blown up. After that, I decided to resign my commission because I had gotten married and I thought it was important that I stayed married. And I just celebrated my 25th anniversary with my wife, who is from Corpus Christi, went to Carroll High School. I have been on city council after leaving the Navy. I was worked for the Coca-Cola company, was there for 20 years. My last position there was director of national sales for South Texas. And then I retired in 2018 and was elected in 2018 for my first term. There have been a lot of things that we've done as your city councilman. The road to nowhere is actually the extension of Rodfield Road, which is going to provide a safe route for the residents of the people in Rancho Vista to get to a protected intersection of Rodfield and Yorktown. So it is not a road to nowhere. It is a safety measure for those individuals that live in the Rancho Vista area. Right now, they have to do a left-handed turn on a 2-lane highway where people are going 50 miles an hour. I don't know if Mr. Hague would appreciate that if he lived there, but I think that's a good thing.
Gentlemen, thank you for your 2-minute opening statements. I will get started with question 1. Question 1 is, during your campaign, what is the #1 concern expressed to you by the citizens of Corpus Christi? And what is your response to that concern? Mr. Hernandez, we'll have you start. 1 minute to respond, please.
Okay, well, the #1 thing has always been streets. And Mr. Hague is wrong about the 2022 bond. There's actually 26.3 million. We actually have more than other areas because they included the widening of Yorktown as a citywide project, but it's entirely in District 5. The other, that's been the main thing. And we've fixed a lot of streets in District 5, Open Gate, Fox Run, Bent Trail, Iverness, Yorkshire, Letheby. There's several streets throughout District 5 that have been worked on or are being worked on or have been planning to be worked on. We created what's called the Infrastructure Management Plan, which is actually a 5-year plan to repair streets. And you can go onto the city's website and see that plan and see when your street is going to be done. And if it's not, it would be just enough to reach out to me and let me know so we can do an evaluation.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hague, same question. And just for both candidates, if you ever need me to repeat a question, please let me know. I'm happy to.
Thank you. So the number one thing that, block walking is really kind of is what I've been doing. And what comes out from a lot of the citizens is the communication, the lack thereof. I knock on a door. The first time I'm actually, this first time they've actually had somebody, go and knock on their door, and they're surprised. I spoke to a couple the other night, and they were surprised because they weren't used to somebody in our district knocking on doors and saying, "Hi, I'm a candidate, I'm running." And really, it comes down to that communication. We've heard about it through transparency with billing and everything. And the citizens want to be heard. They want somebody to advocate for them, and they want to be able to have that open communication. And that's really what we've been lacking a lot for the district overall. And that's what I'm hearing from everybody, is being able to communicate and have open communications amongst the other issues that are there.
Thank y'all so much. Moving on to question number 2. Question number 2 is, a lack of affordable housing underlies or exacerbates many social problems, including homelessness, substance abuse, and crime. What should the city do to address this issue? And Mr. Hague, we'll start with you.
Well, thank you. So you're right. These are issues that, underlie, bigger issues that we have. I think overall, we do have some programs in the city that can help. However, we need to kind of address those a little bit further that we can, for more affordable housing, as well as additional exemptions, because it's not just, individuals that are being, having these issues, with, the crime and everything. It comes down that, we need to provide these solutions to help people who are close to becoming, impoverished and stuff. We just built beds for Agape Ranch, not because we need them for foster homes, but because parents need it so their kids don't get put into foster homes. So being able to provide additional services, subsidies, and stuff to help these, problems before they exist is kind of what we need to do to help each other out for the long run, not just for the short run, by providing.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hernandez, same question.
Well, regarding the homeless issue, I'm probably more closer to than anyone else. When I was in middle school or junior high school back then, my family and I were actually homeless. I stayed in a Salvation Army homeless shelter for the better part of 9 months, maybe closer to 10 months, and I missed most of my 8th grade year of school. So I understand it very clearly. And we at the city created a department called Neighborhood Services to work with these homeless shelters like the Salvation Army, like Loaves and Fishes, like these other organizations to help with that process. We also work with community block grants to help people with the rent and to purchase a home. We work with companies like Thanksgiving Homes that work with that. We also approve or endorse or recommend the 9% housing tax credit program that provides these low-income housing.
Great. Thank you all so much for those responses. Moving on to question number 3. As the city councilman of Corpus Christi, you will be the public face of our city. What one leadership strength will you exhibit if elected so that in 20 years, citizens will remember your leadership and positive accomplishments? Mr. Hernandez, we'll start with you.
For me, the one thing that has really stood out for me is being able to speak up when things need to be said. Sometimes it's viewed as being contrary, but it's really saying things that need to be brought up and not going with the flow, just going with the easy way out is to just follow what the crowd is doing. And that's not the right thing to do. It's to say when something's wrong, you need to say what's wrong, to be fair and have the courage to say when something is not fair. We have several examples of that. And I want to ask that that, the people really take a look at some of those council meetings and what I've challenged our staff on, what I've challenged other council members on, when things weren't fair. If anything, people will say that I have the courage to say what needs to be said, and that I've always been fair, and I've always been there to listen. I publish my cell phone number on the city's website, on the page, on my page, so that people can get a hold of me.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hague, same question.
So I feel one of the most important things is integrity, right? My whole family, multi-generational military family, is one thing that's instilled. I've been called an old salt because my word is my bond, and a handshake goes a long way with me, my family, and my friends and my colleagues. It means a lot. So integrity is going to be the biggest thing. And I was actually asked on Blake in the Morning about that, because he said, how is it going to be when your community wants one thing and it goes opposed to your opinion? This job is not about what my opinion is. This job is about representing the community as a whole and what the community wants. And yes, sometimes it won't go in alignment with me specifically, but it is going to be my job to have that integrity, to follow what the community as a whole wants. So leveraging integrity is the way it needs to be. Being an obstructionist is not going to get anything solved. We have to have that collaboration and stand behind what the community as a whole wants and needs.
Thank you so much. Well, we have come to the point of the forum where you have a 1-minute closing statement. Mr. Hague, we will start with you for your 1-minute closing statement.
Thank you. Again, I'm running for office because we deserve better. I'll advocate for our community. Do you need, we want to talk about needs versus wants, and we need drivable streets. We need to be able to address the longstanding issues with our infrastructure. We don't want taxpayers to have to be burdened with the additional fees and pay stuff out of their pocket in an economy that we're already struggling in. We need somebody who's going to truly advocate for the community, fight to reduce property taxes, and address the issues that have been neglected. If you want change, if you want to see a significant difference in our district, you need to vote for me. I'm the right candidate for change. I humbly ask for your vote in this upcoming election. Please vote for Christopher Hague, City Council District 5. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hernandez, your 1-minute closing statement, please.
Well, thank you for having us at this forum. I would like to say that it's been a pleasure and an honor to serve as a District 5 City Council member for the last 3 years and 10 months or so. When I first took office, things were pretty bad. We didn't have a plan for fixing any streets. We weren't actually doing anything in-house. We have made lots and lots of changes. We have started to fix streets. You can see it. I get complaints now that there's too much construction now for our streets. There's been a lot of good things happening. Where I get criticized on certain things, but that's okay. I don't mind the criticism. I'm doing the work for the citizens of District 5. And I've actually lived here since 2004 in my house in District 5. My opponent has only lived here for 10 months. And so I'm not sure if he would be the person to actually be able to describe what's happening in District 5.
Candidates,
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining and attending our forum. It's a very important way for the community to receive information about the candidates. I also want to say a big thank you to President Catherine Oler, our Zoom flight director this evening, and Debbie Noble, the director of our website and social media, for making this virtual forum possible. The League of Women Voters Corpus Christi area appreciates these candidates not only for their belief in the democratic process that we all enjoy in our nation, but for their commitment to public service and the sacrifices they have made to participate in the campaign process. On behalf of Catherine Oler, President of the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi area, as well as all of the members of the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi area, thank you for watching this candidate forum. Be sure to check out the League's online voters guide at vote411.org, which is available in English and Spanish. By entering your address, the vote411.org website will produce an electronic ballot for your specific address that shows all of the races and candidates you will see on your 2022 ballot. Please check the .org portion as of the Vote 411, as some unscrupulous actors may be attempting to redirect traffic. Printed copies of the English and Spanish state election voter guides provided by the League of Women Voters of Texas, and a 48-page guide to local races compiled by the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi area will be distributed in mid-October. For locations, please visit the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi area's website at LWVCCA.org. Please remember that early voting starts Monday, October the 24th. The Corpus Christi League of Women Voters website will also contain up-to-date election information, including your early voting locations. As a reminder, recordings of this event may not be used without the express written approval of the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi area, and the League will only allow audio or video of this event to be broadcast in its entirety, except by media reporting on the event. Finally, on behalf of Catherine Oler, President of the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi area, as well as all of the other members of the League of Women Voters Corpus Christi area, we thank you so much for watching this candidate forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you.